Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. We're going to be building a Larkspur Prime today. Not going to be any super hot takes on it, but the weapon just came out with Hildren Prime, her Prime Access released. So let's get to it. Base stats, 14% crit chance, 1.6 crit multiplier, 50% status chance, which is nice. Is an impact radiation weapon. On the main charge, the blast has a very nice range on it of 9.6, but it is a impact blast radiation weapon with an additional hit from the radial attack. Pretty solid weapon overall as far as like beam guns go. Has decent base damage, but then again, so did the original Larkspur. Let's compare them. So it gains 4% crit chance, 0.2 crit multiplier, not too good. Crit chance goes up 2, status chance goes up 4. No other changes, but the fire rate did go up. So not too bad. I mean, it's better than nothing. So let's do a base build on it. There's not going to be too many hot takes because, frankly, arch guns just don't have modding diversity compared to everything else. So it's going to be a basic build, and it's just going to kind of be what it's going to be. So base damage, fire rate, multi-shot, crit damage, crit chance. That's 5 of our 8 mods. And the final 2 are going to be used for 2 of the mods you're going to use to make a combo element, a tier 2 element, that deals with the defense of whatever you're going to be shooting at. So corrosive for Grenier, magnetic for Corpus, and you could either do like viral or gas for infested. So we're going to be shooting some Grenier, so we'll do some corrosive. And then we're going to pick our scaling element, and we're going to do heat. You have your choice of doing a 60 mod, a 60-60, or you could do a 120, which is the weighting of the archgun mods for pure element. Which is pretty nice because it always balances the 60-60 and the 120, right? Because 60-60 is 120. Or 60 plus 60 is 120, and that's the weight of the element mod on its own. So pretty even weighting. Pretty basic, honestly. The fire rate is nice. Got a little bit of multi-shot. Dual rounds is only 0.6, so there's no mega bonus like a galvanized multi-shot mod, right? A lot of these mods are pretty old. So fire rate of 19.2 is going to allow us to empty the magazine in about 5 seconds. So let's see how far this gets us. Let's shoot some baddies. It is a beam weapon. It's similar to the Nucor. With an additional, like, quality of life in that it is homing. Like, I'll shoot here, and it'll home. But it has the chaining effect similar to the Nucor. So it is pretty nice in terms of, like, easy use. If you're looking for something that's not, like, a mega damage Mosalon for, like, the alt-fire or anything like that. Or like a Velocitus where you need like one big hit. But this does try to chain to the center of mass. Let's see if we can see it. Yeah, you can see it going for the center. And then it chains to everything nearby. The damage isn't horrible. It's not great either. But the weapon does have one sort of hilarious weak point. is that if you're too close to something, sometimes it won't hit it. Like as soon as it flinches, like if you back up, but if you get super close to something, it won't hit them. But here it will because it's against the wall. But because of the homing, it can be a little finicky on what it picks up. But basic build, corrosive heat. Let's talk about some additional scalings. I can't really recommend one of the mods too much, even though I guess technically it is a better mod. We're going to take off fire rate, because the fire rate is pretty decent on its own. If you have Sabbat rounds, you've probably done a lot of Profit Taker. But if you have this mod works pretty well with the Larkspur. And reason being is that similar to the new core, where it has the chains, if you shoot something, the main beam will travel through, and the main beam will bounce as well. So you can see we're getting pretty good coverage. And the additional damage is pretty nice. And you can take advantage of it to sort of conserve your ammo, which is why I took fire rate off. But you can see the difference. It's just the weapon doesn't have enough crit. I kind of wish they had made the crit a little better. To like make it a little more exciting to use, because we don't have access to, sorry about that, we don't have access to faction mods, so you're really relying on crit damage. If you want to do faction mods, you got to go through a Riven. So single target time to kill is down, but you gain additional bounces. And this is much more of a group killer, if you will. So let's talk about actually incorporating some frame buffs. And we'll stick to Hildren, and I'll show an example with Gauss. So we'll swap over, because we're going to be full stripping. We will swap over and do actually gas electric. Alright, easy enough. Even weighting on gas and electric with the Sabbat rounds. And let's full strip. Grab a couple other nerds. We are on an unmodded Larkspur Prime. So we're going to cast 4 times. And you can see we're getting about, 4,900, 1,800, 3K, 3,900, 17K, or 1,700, sorry. So it converts a lot of the raw damage that you might get into AoE, and because of the fact that it does chain, you can actually build up a pretty nasty gas and electric tick on this. So this would be probably if you have this, and only if you have this. Please do not buy this. Let me see what this is actually going for on Warframe Market. Yeah, 70p. Don't buy this. If you have this, consider using it. But don't buy this. But if you have it, obviously take advantage of it. So it works really well with the Larkspur. It can add an additional form of scaling. Even though the fire rate is lower, you do gain the additional bounces, right? From the chaining. So that does recover your damage and make you at least a little bit more ammo efficient. So this would be the build I would recommend if you have Sabat rounds. If you don't, obviously don't buy it. And this would be your build. It's basically modding 2.0, if you will, if you didn't have Galv mods and you didn't have an arcane slot, right? So your scaling your scaling element that deals with the defense, so it would be corrosive, or your combo element that deals with the defensive stat of the enemy, and then your scaling element. And we are kind of forced to use, like, say, like a heat, or like an electricity, or like a toxin, because this weapon does not have puncture or slash. So if we want to get a scaling element on, we got to put it on ourselves. Though it does make a pretty gross charge shot. Considering we don't have puncture or slash on here, we've still got 5 elements. So not too bad. And I think that's about it. The charge shot is pretty nice, and I guess I can show that. Where is it at? Shell Rush. If you want to do a charge shot build, it's pretty much the same thing. Crit chance, multi-shot, crit damage. But if you notice, the charge rate is not affected by fire rate. And because we're not relying on like a fire rate, if you will, we want to be able to charge. This ends up being a really good option. But then it pigeonholes you into using the secondary fire. So personally, I end up using automatic fire anyway. So when I swap back and forth, because it's only a 0.5 second charge rate. But if you want to boost it, this would be the mod. So there you go. I hope this helps. There just isn't a lot of modding diversity, and a lot of the conditional mods on here require you to burn, like, the conditional don't work too well with the Larkspur. Like, one of the better conditional mods is when you get like a headshot kill, you'll get like fire rate and reload, and that ends up being like a really good mod. But the problem is because of the way the beam works on the Larkspur, it tries to chain for the center of their body, so it's actually pretty difficult to get. So just because the gun is aiming for you, and critical chance and damage when aiming, critical focus isn't stronger than parallax, but it's additive to this before modding. So instead of having 100% crit chance, it's 160% additional crit chance scaled off of whatever it was before. And Ballista Measure puts in work in Archgun mode. Or not Archgun mode. When you're actually in Archwing mode. When you're actually like doing like one of the satellite defenses, or like I forget what it was, the pursuit or whatever it was. This can put in some dividends to give you the additional range. So it kind of is what it is. There isn't a lot of modding diversity. And if you want a faction scaling on here, you gotta get it on a ribbon, because there's no plus Grenier on this. So it just kind of is what it is. It's a solid little weapon. If you can combine it with some frame that can like full strip, the damage can get pretty nutty pretty quickly. Like 40, 50k is completely reasonable to get. But it's just, then again, when you have stuff like the muzzle on and whatnot, it kind of is what it is. So I would rate this like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10 for general use when used with Hildren, because you have the full strip and, you know, the using it with Hildren gives you the additional ammo. But one of the ways, because I did mention it, one of the ways you can buff this weapon a bit. Let's see, this guy's. Okay. Is you can actually use like elemental bonuses or frame bonuses, if you will, to get the damage up. But again, it still doesn't get too nutty. So let's see what we're at. All right, 2K. $1K, $2K. All right, there's heat. Yeah, it goes up a bit. I'm seeing like 2K, like 21. It's about the same. $28. Yeah, and you can hear the headshots when you get them. Yeah, 12K. So, there you go. That's why you try to run the Sabbat round, just because the fun's over, right? So, food for thought. It's a solid little weapon. But it just kind of is what it is, right? So, here's an example of how you would use it. If any of y'all find anything more interesting, let me know. Like a different build. The Sabbat round adjustment, if you will, to deal with the max ammo issue does feel pretty nice. Make sure to drop that on a correct polarity because it's 15 capacity otherwise. Just because of how small the ammo max is without Hildren, you're only getting like the magazine plus like 4 others, where Hildren gets an additional 300 rounds, right? Or energy use ticks or whatever. So this would be a pretty basic build. I think it kind of says what it needs to, right? If you're willing to use Hildren and full strip, go gas electric, you have the status chance to enjoy the benefits of that. You could even do like a really weak viral, or just go raw damage and go like a huge viral with like no status chance and like a no status chance 120% heat, and just RNG the damage. But you are going to have to full strip. If you're not using Hildren or anything else that has like a strip on it, right? So the damage is pretty nice. The alt fire just kind of is what it is. 15K, and let me show you that real quick. Swap over to charge. It is kind of annoying because it blows everything away and does do a lot of damage. So 7K, 8K. It has 2 parts of direct hit. You can see the explosion was over there. So if you want to hit the double up, you got to hit something next to a wall. You can see the multiple instances of damage. Multi-shot helps you a lot. But if you hit something next to a wall, sometimes it doesn't register the direct hit. Like that one had both 21k, must have got a headshot. And the range on it is pretty nice. So if you're going to be doing like a alt fire build, just because you want to like mess around or something, just go raw damage and just try to one shot, right? And just get the charge rate and the fire rate up as high as possible. So pretty basic. I hope it helps. Wasn't too much interesting I could say about this weapon. But thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Y'all have a wonderful day. Stay blessed.